Oh, Rain, sorry, I kept saying we're missing. We're good, okay. Yeah, no, we have everyone that we are expecting. It is now 4:30 PM on Tuesday, March 5th, and I call the regular meeting of the City Council to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councillor Eber?
Here.
Councillor Holen?
Here.
Councillor Wheels, absent. Councillor Sheldon?
Here.
Councillor Blum? Councillor McGuire is absent.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Next up is audience participation. We do not currently have anyone signed up to speak. Is there anyone who would like to sign up to speak? Seeing none. Reports from members of city boards and commissions. Don't see any present. Moving on to the consent agenda.
I move approval of consent agenda item 6A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Moving on to new business, Resolution 4, Series 2024, accepting a donation from the Cherry Hills Village Police Foundation on behalf of the Cherry Hills Village Police Department. Chief Lyons.
Okay, well, good evening, afternoon. That's weird. Whatever it is, wherever it falls. Good early evening, Mayor, members of council. In front of you this evening is a resolution to consider the acceptance of a donation, an unanticipated yet generous donation from the Cherry Hills Village Police Foundation to the Cherry Hills Village Police Department in the amount of $22,000 specifically for the purchase of a police service dog to initiate our K-9 program. And I think you have a resolution in front of you, but happy to entertain any questions. Might you have any?
Are there any questions? I know at one point, was it an email or something where we saw a picture of perhaps our newest officer?
Does that $22,000 or the cost of a dog also include all of the training that will be ongoing?
It does. Yeah, it's the $22,000 is the cost of the animal, the shipping, and a 10-week K-9 academy, up to and including the national certifications.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
The Police Foundation, for the record, is represented. I don't know. I think they're just here to,
And I guess the only other question I have is earlier today we heard a little bit of the justification, but for record, for anybody who may be watching, do you mind taking a couple minutes and just talk about why we think we need a police dog?
Sure. Like all things, we are under constant review of best practices, tools, and resources that are available to increase the efficacy of the police department to serve this community. Through that review, we've identified a need for this particular tool, this resource, for two specific purposes. One is the tracking, detection, and apprehension of any fleeing suspect on vehicle, should we have that. The other purpose of this dog is, and the terminology is a dual-purpose dog. The other purpose is for narcotics detection. As you know, with Hampden, Bellevue, and University running through the city, we often find ourselves engaged in traffic enforcement that leads to the detection of narcotics, and this is a more efficient way to find and recover illegal drugs that might be making their way through our city. So it is part of a constant review of how we can improve levels of service for the city, and this is a tool that is hard to come by, although other jurisdictions surrounding us have such a capability. The response time is typically increased because they're not working here in our jurisdiction. So to be able to provide that resource at least for half of the day of a 24-hour day is something that we're pushing forward, and I think advancing that opportunity does in fact increase the level of service for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion.
But I will make a motion, but before I do, I'd like to thank Mark and Jan for
Right.
the Police Foundation's efforts, your personal efforts towards making this happen. So on behalf of council, thank you for helping make this a reality. We appreciate it.
Here, here.
Yeah.
It's never too late. No gift is too small or large.
I move to approve Resolution 4, Series 2024, accepting a donation from the Cherry Hills Village Police Foundation on behalf of the Cherry Hills Village Police Department.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That also passes unanimously. And again, thank you very much to the Police Foundation for your ongoing support of keeping our community safe. We have an item, a discussion item for board and commission member terms. Clerk
Good
Gillespie.
evening, Mayor Brown, members of City Council. We have several board and commission member terms that will end in the third week in May. Several do not want to be reappointed, but a couple of them do. So we're looking for two things from council tonight. One, to confirm that you would like staff to bring back a resolution to officially reappoint those members who desire reappointment. And second, to have two of you volunteer to review applications, do interviews, and provide recommendations for appointment to fulfill the vacancies that will be a result of these terms ending. Happy to answer any questions.
All right. Is there interest in reappointing those members who wish to be reconsidered? Neither of them requires a recruitment trigger. So that seems to be the consensus, yes. Are there any volunteers to interview for openings on PTRC? And will you take different volunteers for the different commissions, or do you want two people for all of them?
It's up to council. In the more recent times, we have kind of batched our interviews and asked anyone who was interviewing, would they be interested in any of the boards and commissions? But up to council.
So we'll conduct general interviews.
Do we, are we going to be interviewing folks that have, as recently as 2 years ago, when the last members termed out, wanted to be on, and yet we didn't have a spot for them? Are we re-interviewing those folks again?
So we don't have any current applications they ended up getting appointed to other boards afterwards. I think we had a couple of vacancies on P&Z a little bit ago and BOA, so we don't.
None for PTRC?
Right.
Okay. And none for
We don't
the,
have any back inventory.
So there was a resident who was interviewed and desired to be on PTRC. There wasn't a vacancy. She was appointed to P&Z, so she's on P&Z now.
okay.
Okay, so are there any volunteers?
I'm happy to.
Counselor Eber, anyone else? I don't know I think Randy and or Susan I think Randy is usually interested in participating.
I nominate Randy.
Okay.
Nominate Randy.
Is there a second?
That was a second.
I heard a lot of seconds, a third and a fourth.
I suspect that's unanimous vote. Let's tentatively put Randy, reach out to him, see if he'd be willing to serve in that capacity. And if not, then we can reconvene or find a new volunteer. Also, just wanted to point out that PTRC is the one commission we have that attempts to get representation from the various council districts in the city. So the two seats that will be open are in districts 3 and 4. If those are your districts, please think of any names that of people who you think might be interested. Please reach out to them, ask them to consider applying, et cetera.
Mayor, I've got one other topic on this general topic, I
Sure.
think, that's relevant. Should we discuss the residency requirements within the city for being on various boards and commissions?
I don't know. I'm assuming
It's
you're
a
thinking there,
2-year.
because they are longer than the residency requirements to run for city council.
That's my point. We have a little bit of I don't know if it's backwards, seems kind of backwards in my mind, that in order to serve on city council, you need to be a resident for only 1 year. In order to serve on PTRC or P&Z or BOA, you need to be a resident for 3 years.
Did
And just to
Kathy, you mentioned it might be in the charter. Did you have a chance to look at that as to whether?
It is in the
Yeah,
charter?
and it has come up before. So the council requirement and I believe BOA or P&Z or both are in the charter. PTRC is only in the code. So PTRC would be the easiest to change, but then it would be different from the others.
Okay, well, something we may want to think about. Obviously, I'm not interested in cracking open the charter for that topic.
Fair enough, but yes,
Maybe
duly
discussion.
noted that that seems odd.
Yeah.
Moving on to reports, we had our retreat today for those of you who might be watching, so we've already discussed quite a bit, but my time has mostly been consumed with bills of the legislature that seek to preempt local governments. I testified last week against the bill that would require accessory dwelling units on every single-family lot. There's also another bill there's several that we're concerned about. Two were heard in committee today. There's another one about transit-oriented communities that'll be in committee tomorrow. We are watching these bills very carefully. I don't think there's a lot of influence we can have in the House of Representatives, but we are doing as much as we can, and we'll seek to keep our constituents apprised of what may come of that. Members of council, we'll start with Councilor Blum.
No report.
My only comment is thank you, staff, for putting together a good agenda today for our retreat. It was well organized, and I think we covered some good ground, so thank you.
Just briefly, again, I'd like to thank staff as well for a really productive retreat, and appreciate all the hard work associated with that. And apologize for all of the questions that I asked. But I didn't want to disappoint Dan. The only other thing I report on, a week ago, not last Saturday, not 3 days ago, but a week ago prior to that, I attended the town hall that Meg Froelich put together that also had the mayor of Englewood and Sheridan and Arapahoe Commissioner
And Denver City Council person.
and Denver City Council person. They just kind of went over, for the most part, all of the things that they're interested in going on. It wasn't specifically addressed to the housing issue. It was kind of a smorgasbord of issues. There were probably about 35, 40 people there, 5 or 6 from Cherry Hills, which I thought was interesting. A couple of things that Meg said that struck me as odd. I was going to mention it to the city attorney, but I forgot. She was talking about the public records, public meetings thing, and she made a couple of comments that I wrote down very carefully. So Meg, if you're watching, these were your words. She said, hey, she's talking about what they can do at because that's an issue right now, what they can do at the General Assembly, how many they can do. And they said, hey, lobbyists can meet with multiple representatives. As long as there's a lobbyist there, they can meet with multiple. I thought, that can't be right. I don't think a lobbyist would have anything to do with, if there were multiple representatives, senators, representatives, I don't think having a lobbyist there would change that. So I was just curious whether, you might.
I think the context was that that they can't talk to each other at all, but they can if there's a lobbyist present.
And I thought that was
Sunshine Law
a bit
stuff.
odd.
Yeah.
And then she
Whether
said
it's a
that right
meeting.
now, the informal rule amongst the legislature is not even 2 representatives can talk to each other. They can't talk to each other at all. And I thought, that can't be right either. I mean, if it's right, then there's violations going on all over the place. I mean, because I see people on TV walking down the hall and talking to each other. So I don't think they're talking about the weather. But anyway, those were the 2 comments that were made that I thought were a bit strange. And I thought I'd pass it on in case, and you're looking at that, you can come back and go, hey, it's right or wrong. That's all I have. Thanks.
Councilor Eber.
Thank you. A couple things. One, I'll join all of our fellow council members and mayor to thank you for the retreat discussions today. I thought they were really good. I appreciate everybody putting up with my different ideas. And for those of you who are watching online, call me anytime and I'll bring you up to speed on all the things we talked about. I also wanted to mention a couple of things that have gone on in the past. There have been some public comment, and then also there was discussion in the Buell subdivision that people came in and made public comment about a dog park fence or a fence. I did want to let people know that there will be a meeting tonight at 6 o'clock, apparently by the HOA, that will address whether to adopt a resolution in support of something that will come before the PTRC next Thursday night. And so whether or not to support an application that'll come before PTRC, and that application, to my understanding, is whether or not to place gates on different parts of the village trail. So I mentioned that that's going on tonight, where the board may take a position. And secondly, I mention it because I want to invite anybody who may be watching tonight and have them know, and if interested, participate in the PTRC meeting next Thursday night that I believe starts at 5:30 on this issue. And if you have any input on this issue, please look at I think it's on the village website, probably the issue and the materials either will be soon as part of the packet, and get up to speed on what they are. And if interested, please get involved. And then the only other comment that I've got is, as part of our review of cell phone coverage, I've tried my best to do informal work in kind of doing some polling on whether people are interested in towers that could be up to 100 feet high as a means to address cell phone coverage. We talked about it already today in retreat. But again, for people who may be watching and for the record, I want to invite any and all comment to come before City Council, because obviously this is a huge issue with so many people impacted by cell phone coverage problems. We've spent a lot of time on City Council trying to come up with solutions, and I think we've come up with a scientific solution that now needs to be verified and supported by the people if we're going to implement it. So we certainly want public comment. Thanks.
Thank you. City manager and departments.
Good evening, Mayor. In retrospect, today's retreat was fantastic. I appreciated all the comments, and it gave the staff great direction. So again, thank you for all your efforts today. I know it takes a long day, but hopefully it was worth it. Second, I'll just reiterate that the staff, I concur, they did a tremendous job today, and just reminds me of how great of a staff we do have. I think it's one of the finest in the state, and certainly they showed that today and continue to show that. So thank you to the staff for their work. So that's all.
No report tonight.
We have some events coming up in April and May. I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but they're all on the website. They're in the crier, so there's a lot to be involved in if you're interested.
One is definitely the art event. I know there's some others. Oh, and there's the spring recycling event. Yeah, cleanup.
Spring cleanup, the scavenger hunt, the Parks PTRC Commission. There's
Isn't
something
there
else.
a drug take
Oh, drug,
coming up?
thank you. Drug take back. That's it.
Just to continue on the community programs, April 10th is Coffee with a Cop, 9 to 10 o'clock at the police department. And the next day, April 11th, is the kickoff of our Citizens Police Academy, which there are still a few spots available. So for anyone who might be listening and interested in that program, please sign up. And then as we speak, or as we sit here, the selection process for the K-9 handler is underway. They're about halfway through that now. So I will include that selection in your Friday council update, if that's okay with you. Thank you.
Just a quick note, last Friday, we had an RFP for outside audit services, and it was the deadline, March 1st. We did not receive a response from the city's current auditor, which we've been working with for 15 years. So there will definitely be a change in the audit firm. We do have two very qualified companies that did respond, so We're anxious to interview those, and that'll be Mr. Holland as well as the city manager and myself. So we'll keep everybody updated on that as we go. So thank you.
Hey, Director Farman, any feedback on why the current auditor for 15 years decided not to submit?
He was very brief. I had emailed him when we posted it, which was 3 or 4 weeks, so we had plenty of time to plan for it, but he just said he could not get the bid out, so I'm not sure what happened. Maybe it was a scheduling issue, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm going to try to remember the event dates. April 20th will be the Art Commission's Art in the Park event right here in John Mead Park to celebrate their new sculptures going in. April 21st, the Cherry Hills Land Preserve will have their big Earth Day event at Quincy Farm. And then May 4th will be the Parks Commission's scavenger hunt in this park and then in the trails across the street, pretty much through Cherrymore. So plenty coming up through the Parks Department.
I have no comments tonight.
Great. Well,
Move to adjourn.
we are adjourned at, oh, my watch is gone, at whatever, 4:52.
Good job, Mayor.